In this video, we're looking at how to use the attribution report feature of your platform. So you'll find this in the left-hand menu under Reporting, Attribution Report. So two things that we'll cover in this video is what this feature does, how to look at the reports, and then of course how to set it up and use it. And we're going to use Facebook ads for that example of how to use this attribution report. So firstly, we're going to look at what does this actually tell you and what does it show. So when you go to attribution report, it'll show a conversion report. It'll show the revenue closed, which is the amount of revenue that you've entered as any opportunity that's been marked as one, and the revenue you associated to that opportunity will add up to be revenue closed. And I'll show you some examples of this in a minute. And then we have the number of opportunities closed, the total number of contacts that have come into the system via any of these attribution sources. So this might be from a form, a survey, or a calendar, and you can choose these drop downs from here. Note that if a contact has come in via a form and they've booked an appointment, they will show in both. So for example, if I looked at forms here, I'll see that I have 2 opportunities closed via forms, and I know from my reporting that this is $1,000 on one of them and $97 on the other. One of them also booked an appointment, so that's why we have one opportunity closed from our calendar, which was the one of $1,000. Okay, so we're going to scroll down here just to have a look at the rest of this page before we get into the setups of this. We can see the number of contacts. Whoops, let's go back to all. We can see the number of contacts created by day, the number of sessions. The sessions are people filling out your forms or visiting your website or funnel pages. And then opportunities closed by date as well. Okay, and you can see direct traffic as people that go to one of your funnel pages or your website pages. Paid social is via things like Facebook lead forms. Okay, and I'll show you that in a moment. We have contacts created data and sessions created data by all the different sources here. Okay. So let's take a look at all the different traffic sources down the bottom here and what each means. So referral is for anyone that clicked a link to your site from like a blog article or anywhere. Organic search is that they clicked a link after searching in Google or Bing, for example. Direct traffic means they actually typed in your URL into the URL bar itself. Social media is a referral link or click, but it came from a platform such as Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Trigger links means they clicked one of the links that you've set up as a trigger link in your account, and there's a whole video on trigger links and how they work. And then paid social is where someone has clicked a link from social media, but it was in a paid ad, for example, a Facebook ad. I'm going to show you that shortly in terms of how to set up your attribution reporting. Now, the second thing you can do here is go into the source report, and it'll tell you the actual referring sites of where people are coming from in terms of where your contacts are coming from. On the right hand here, you'll see these are our paid promotions on Facebook and how those reports work, and we'll dive into those shortly. Scrolling down, you can actually see the actual URLs that people are visiting, specifically, what are those session events. You'll see that some of them actually have campaign, UTM medium, and UTM content. What that's showing you is what was the Facebook ad campaign, what was the Facebook ad set, and what was the exact ad. Okay, and again, I'm going to show you how to set that up shortly. On that note, the second place that you'll see this attribution is in the contact records. So for example, if you have someone come through paid social, and you can do this via Facebook lead form ads, or you can do it through conversion objective campaigns. Again, I'll show you this in a minute. It'll tell you not just that the lead came from a paid social campaign, but if you hover on this little question mark here, it will tell you what campaign they came from, what ad set, and exactly which ad. So as you can imagine, this is incredibly powerful information because usually we can only track data on how many leads came through from a specific campaign. And maybe, yes, we can see how many leads came through from specific ads, but this granular level allows you to see to the exact contact which ad they came from. So for example, if you're finding that you're getting a lot of leads maybe from a particular ad or ad set or campaign, but you might get less from another, you might find the one with less is actually getting more revenue allocated to it. So this is a really powerful tool, especially when you start using it in conjunction with your opportunities area and being able to allocate the amount of dollars coming in on each of those opportunities. So I'll show you what I mean by that just here as we switch to the opportunities board. Okay, so here we are on the opportunities area, and we can see here, for example, this lead here. If I just click on the white space here and I click on the opportunity card itself, that is where I was able to mark the status down here as 1 and the lead value to the revenue that came in, $97. Okay, and as you saw earlier, we had another lead that was marked as 1 with a revenue of $1,000. And now one last thing before we dive into showing you how to actually set this up so that your attribution can be allocated to your Facebook ads is showing you the Facebook ads reporting area. Again, this is on the left-hand menu under reporting. If you click on Facebook ads, you'll see a breakdown of various statistics, and I'm just going to talk you through this here. So you'll see you can break this down to campaigns, ad sets, ads, or demographics, okay? And I'll talk through those as we go through here. So what you'll see is the timeline impressions is in the number of times someone has seen that particular, seen your ads in general. The impressions per campaign, so it's going to break it down not by date, but break down to 3 campaigns. So in this case, we have 3 different ad campaigns running. If you only have one ad campaign, then you're only going to see 1 there, of course. Here we are just showing through Facebook, so that's going to be our publisher breakdown there. And just before I scroll down the screen, important that you can actually set your reporting time period here. So we've just got the last 2 weeks approximately set here in our current stats. So let's scroll down the page here. And you'll see that it'll show the number of clicks, the number of impressions, the average cost per click, and the click-through rate. All these data will show you the trend relative to the time period that preceded it. Okay, so we're looking at the last 2 weeks. How does that compare with the 2 weeks before that? Okay, let's now have a look at the data at the very bottom here that you see in the columns breakdown. So really important to note that this system does report leads based on when a new contact enters your system, okay? So whether you're using Facebook lead forms or you use the Facebook attribution setup that's required at the end of this video for conversion ads, a lead will show in these columns only if it is a new contact. And I'll show you in the second half of this video how to set all those ads up. So with that said, I want to quickly talk through what all these numbers actually mean. So as you saw earlier, right at the top, we were able to set our date reporting window, okay? And that determines these stats here, okay? So these numbers are going to change if we said, oh, just show me the data for today or the last 7 days or the last 30 days, etc. So we have 3 campaigns here that have spent different amounts and have different results coming through them just here, okay? I'm going to talk through what these mean just here. I'm going to use just the middle column to talk through first, and then I'll talk about the bottom column there, which has an important distinction. Okay, so the middle column here, we first see we have 18 clicks, which means that 18 people clicked on the ad. Important to know that clicks can mean clicking on the link in the ad, clicking on something in the ad to read more about the ad. It can mean different things. Okay. The cost is the amount of dollars spent. Okay, so there was $44.60 spent on that campaign. Revenue is the amount of revenue that you have manually entered in, or you've set a trigger to apply it to a lead in the opportunity card. Okay, so we had an opportunity marked as 1 with $1,000. That's going to allocate $1,000 revenue to that campaign because it was set up with the attribution coming back to that campaign. The ROI percentage, what that actually means is the amount of dollars that have come back from every dollar spent, right? So in other words, if you multiplied $44.60 by $22.42, you would get $1,000 revenue. Okay, so in another way to say, if you had spent $100 on advertising and you had $1,000 of revenue come in, then your ROI here in this column would show as $10 because for every dollar spent, $10 in revenue came back. That's what that column means. Okay, CPC is cost per click. Okay, so the amount of dollars spent per click. Again, here in this example, you would say that $44.60 divided by the 18 clicks is going to give us 2.48. The click-through rate is the number of people that click that per 1,000 impressions. Okay, so it means that 1.6 people per 1,000 actually clicked through on that ad. Sales shows that the number of opportunities marked as 1 in your opportunities pipeline. So in this particular column here, one of the contacts was marked as 1. So we have 1 sale. Okay, so I'm saying marked as 1 as in W-O-N, and therefore we have 1 sale. Okay, cost per sale, that's CPS, cost per sale, is the amount we spent for each sale. Okay, so we can see here we spent $44.60, therefore our cost per sale, 1 sale, is $44.60. Had we made 2 sales, then the cost per sale would have been half that at $22.30. Leads. Okay, now this is important. This displays a 0 here because the lead that came in through this campaign was already a contact in the system. So if you have a lead come in, it won't be reported as a lead unless it's a new contact in the system. So that's why this says 0, even though there was in fact 1 lead which purchased. Okay, cost per lead, of course, here is going to be 0 because we had no leads assigned. Impressions is the number of impressions, so the number of people that saw that ad. And the average revenue is going to be revenue divided by sales, right? So we had $1,000 revenue divided by 1 sale is $1,000. Okay, had we had a revenue of $1,000 and 2 sales, then our average revenue would have been $500. Even if one of them was $600 and one of them was $400, it's going to show us our average revenue per sale. Okay, now I'm going to also talk through this third row here that you can see now, because this is how it looks normally if you have a lead come in and they're a new contact in the system, right? So it's not someone that that is in your database already. They either fill out the lead form, or if it's a conversion campaign, they've filled out a form on your funnel pages. They've put in their information. As long as they're a new contact in the system, it will actually report as a lead. Okay, that'll happen automatically if you're using lead forms. If you're using conversion ads, you need to use the attribution system that I'm going to show you how to set up now. Okay, so having said all that, let's dive into Facebook now and have a look at how you actually set up attribution reporting for both lead forms and conversion ad objectives. Okay, so here we are in our Facebook Ads Manager. We've simply hit create a new campaign, and I'm going to show you how you would set up a lead form ad so that it automatically attributes with your automation platform. So for example, we'll just say this is our example lead form campaign, and we simply leave it on auction, but importantly, campaign objective we're going to set as lead generation. By setting it as lead generation, it's going to turn this into a lead form campaign. Okay, campaign budget optimization is a feature that Facebook is moving heavily towards, and in fact, by the time you're watching this video, this may actually be a mandatory setting. Okay, you set your budget here. We're going to say this is just a $50 daily budget just here. And then from here, we can just create the campaign. We don't actually need to do any of the ad set or the ad in this step, and simply hit save to draft. Okay, one thing I like to do when creating Facebook ad campaigns is always to make sure that I have turned off the campaign at campaign level, so I can now publish ad sets and ads without worry that the campaign is accidentally going to start running. Okay, once I've done that, I click on the actual campaign name, and we'll see that it has an untitled ad set. Okay, that's what it's attempted to start creating before when I just created the campaign. If there's nothing there, simply hit the green create button just there. I'm just going to click on this to actually pick up where we left off by clicking this edit button just here. And I'm just going to call it this untitled ad set. Okay, now super important here, you choose the correct Facebook page that you have linked to your automation platform. Okay, that's covered in a different video, but this will only work if you select the Facebook page that is the Facebook page that you have connected to your automation platform within your settings area under integrations. Okay, assuming you've got that step correct, that other video will also show you how to map your lead forms, which you'll need in a moment. But we're sticking to the ad creation just here. You simply go through here, set the settings as you need to do. We're going to set this one just to run straight away. We're going to leave our audience as is. This is where you would actually set your custom audiences. We're going to leave automatic placements and simply jump straight to our ads. Okay, there's no requirement to hit the publish button. We're just going to simply go into our create our ad here. Okay, so we have one untitled ad here. If you didn't have that, you would simply click on your ad set. Okay, this has created one. I will actually delete this for the purpose of this video. Okay, and simply hit, once you're in ads for one ad set, you simply hit create. Okay, so we're using our existing ad campaign, our existing ad set. We're just going to call this example ad. And save to draft. Once you've done that, you have an optional step to connect your Instagram account as well, so your ads can show on Instagram. We can scroll through here. You can do whatever ad settings you'd like to do, whether you're doing an image or a video. You set your ad creative in terms of what images you're going to use, what videos you're going to use, what's your text going to be, your headline, your description, how that shows up as the display link, what's the call to actions, that's literally the button. Okay, and then the last step is to create a lead form. Okay, this is the different part about these ads. If you have already created one, you'll see the options below. If you don't have one, then simply hit create lead form. Assuming you don't have one, we're going to create a lead form from scratch here. This one's going to be our example lead form just here. We're going to leave it on more volume, which basically means it's a less complicated process for our leads to fill out. We're going to set an intro, so you can upload a specific image or you can use the image from your ad. We're just going to leave image from our ad running here. We can set a headline, and you can see, you'll be able to see a preview on yours. We have ours blurred out, but you'll be able to see a preview for what you enter in here on the right-hand side of your screen. You can enter a paragraph or a list. Just note, if you do use a list and you list about more than 3 bullet points, the ad will actually show blank and it'll actually ask someone to click read more to see your bullet list. So it's just something to note about how they work. Once you've done that, keep scrolling down. You've got a couple more settings to complete, being your questions. Okay, so typically you'll have to at least have email and full name selected. You can put in a description as to why you're asking for the information. So it might be so we can send you whatever we said we'd send you. And you can also add additional fields in here, such as their phone number. And if you're not familiar with lead form ads, what this will do is it'll actually autofill the information from the user's Facebook account. This is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's very quick for people to do it, but on the other hand, it means that they will be pre-filling the data with whatever they told Facebook was their information whenever they signed up for Facebook. So it might be out of date. So it's just something to be mindful of when you're using lead forms. Okay, we keep scrolling down. You will need to link a privacy policy to your ad. And from there, you can go to the completion page. Okay, so the completion page is what message someone is shown after they submit their details. So you might choose to have a link back to your website from here. You might choose to have a link to your calendar. And note that there is a feature now, you can even change what that button says. And again, you'll see this previewed on the right. When you're setting up your ad, I know for this video that it's blurred out, but you'll be able to see this in your video. Okay, so you might change that to, click here to call, or click here to book, whatever is appropriate, and then you put the link under that. Now, super important, when you create the lead form, as soon as you hit that publish button, then that lead form is done, and you will not be able to change any of the details in that lead form. You'd have to create a new one from scratch. It's just the way that lead forms work. Okay, once you've done that, and you complete setting up your ad campaign, which we're not going to go through in this video, but once you've completed getting it all set up, you publish your ad campaign. The only step to do is to go back to your automation page, your automation platform, and actually map the fields for that lead form. Okay, I'll show you that really, really quickly right now. So we simply head back to our automation settings. We hit Facebook form fields mapping. You would find your form. If you've already connected it, you'll see it like this. Yours will look a little bit different if you haven't connected it. Simply click on it, or in our case, we hit edit, and we simply map the fields. Okay, so these are the questions that you selected in your lead form. that you can attach here. So in this case, we just have full name and email. You'll notice this is already automatically matched up, but if you need to for some reason, you can manually adjust it by adjusting each field and hitting update. And once you've done that, that is actually all you need to do with lead form ads. The attribution will automatically start showing. What am I talking about? I'll show you by going back to one of our contacts. Okay, so here we have this example contact that came from our Facebook lead form, and it tells us exactly which campaign, exactly which ad set, and exactly which ad they came from. Okay, and that happens automatically when you're using Facebook lead forms. Now, the final thing I'm going to show you on this video is if you're using ads for conversion objectives, there is a little bit of a tricky step to set up in terms of making the attribution work correctly. Okay, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So we're back here in our ads manager, and let's say this time we're actually running a campaign and we're going to send someone to a landing page, like one of your funnel pages. And then after they submit their information as a lead, they're going to go to something like a booking page or something like that, some sort of thank you page, right? And then we're going to mark them as a lead because we've set up what's called a custom conversion. Now, if you're doing it this way and you want that Facebook attribution to show so you can see exactly which ads are can be credited or attributed to each sale, you're going to have to do one extra step here. So I'm going to basically fast forward for you to save you time this campaign creation step. So you're going to see me whiz through here and just set up a campaign. The only thing that's different here is that with a campaign objective, it's going to be set not to lead generation, but to conversions. Okay, so we've created our example conversion campaign, and now we're in the ad set. So because this is a conversion objective, at the ad set level, we're going to have to set up what is the conversion. Now you might choose one of the default conversions that Facebook offers, but usually you're going to use a custom conversion. That's setting up custom conversions is outside the scope of this video, but assuming you have a custom conversion set up, you would simply in your conversions select website, you'd select your pixel, and then you would choose your conversion event. Okay, if you have a custom conversion created and you select it and you see a red dot instead of a green dot, it simply means that conversion hasn't been seen yet. If it's a new page, all you need to do is go and load that page. Assuming you've got your Facebook pixel installed, it'll register that. You can come back here, refresh this, and it should show as green. You want to make sure it's showing as green, otherwise that conversion is not working. Okay, having set that, we can go through the rest of the ad set setup. No change to normal ad sets. Again, that's outside the scope of this video. From there, the last thing I'm going to show you to get the attribution working is the little bit of scripting or the setup for attribution you've got to do at the ad level. So let's dive into the ad level here. And we would whiz through and we would create our ad, and we're looking for, this is very important, URL parameter. Now, not this one, which is the first one you see. Keep scrolling down the page, right down the bottom, and at the very bottom you'll see a link that says build URL parameter. Make sure this is the one that you're using. Simply click on build a URL parameter, and you'll be shown with this fancy screen. This is really simple. All you need to do is click on campaign source and actually type in Facebook. For campaign medium, we actually select ad set name. Campaign name, we actually select campaign name. That's an easy one. For the campaign content, you're going to select ad.name. Okay, so you've actually got ad set name at the top, campaign name in the middle, and ad.name in the third field. And then the last step is to click on this add parameter button. And what you type in here is campaign underscore ID. Campaign underscore ID, all in lowercase. And then go across to value and select campaign.id. Okay, that is it. You'll see a little preview here. Simply hit apply. You'll see some fancy scripting is all set up here, and that is all you need to do. So from there, you can publish your ad campaign as normal, and the same thing will now happen in your automation platform. Okay, and in fact, here we are back in our example automation platform. This was a live test. This is how we've actually got this to show here. We can see this contact paid social. This lead came from the conversion ads that we ran, okay? And you can hover over this little question mark, tells us the name of the campaign, tells us the ad set, and tells us which exact ad that person clicked on to come into the system. And now we know that that $1,000 that came from that particular contact is attributable to that exact ad. So that's a fairly comprehensive overview of how to use the Facebook attribution tool, how to set it up with lead form ads, how to set it up with conversion ads, and even how to tie into the actual Facebook reporting that you see here in your platform.